Imagine being in a new school with new people and new rules, constantly confused and scared.
Your way of life is now changed, and your old life is now a blur.
In the 1870s, the Government of Canada partnered with Catholic, Anglican, and Presbyterian churches to establish and operate boarding schools for Inuit, First Nations, and Aboriginal children.
The intended residential schools was to educate, assimilate, and integrate Aboriginal people into Canadian society.
In the words of one government official, it was a system designed to kill the Indian in the child.
We decided to ask random people in our school what they know about residential schools.
Nothing. Well, I know that they just killed everyone, basically.
Attendance at residential schools was mandatory for Aboriginal children across Canada, and failure to send children to residential school often resulted in the punishment of parents, including imprisonment.
Students were forbidden to speak their language or practice their culture and were often punished for doing so. Many students were forced to do manual labor and were fed poor quality food.
Survivors were often away from their parents for long periods of time, and this prevented the learning and discovering of valuable parenting skills.
In many cases, the abuse and even the common experience of having attended residential schools have caused impacts such as post-traumatic stress syndrome and have made it difficult for survivors to engage in family, social, and professional circumstances.
Aboriginal communities are still in need of healing, with high rates of substance abuse, violence, child apprehension, and suicide. In response to the loss of language, there was a growing movement to revive and preserve unique Aboriginal culture beliefs, social structures, and spiritual values. Hundreds of healing initiatives and projects have been funded throughout the AHF, and many other independent programs have been created throughout Canada to heed the healing objective.
In the response of the effects of residential schools, the government gave millions of dollars to those who applied for what is known as the compensation policy.
In 2008, the Government of Canada did a formal apology to all of those affected by the residential schools. It's great how the government realized what they did was wrong, but throwing millions of dollars at the issue probably wasn't the best thing. After being in a residential school for several years and being beaten and abused, and you were thrown all that money, you probably wouldn't even know what to do with it. You'd probably spend it on drugs and alcohol to numb the pain that you were put through.
Through initiatives of the Legacy of Hope Foundation and National Day of Healing and Reconciliation, Canadians are learning this history and understanding the impact that it has had and continues to have on their communities.